What's up, YouTube? Flan Speaks back again. Listen, man, I don't want to hear, after this, after I do this video, I do not want to hear any more Dallas Cowboy fans anymore going out there talking about the media isn't capping for them. The media is against their team. Media is hating on their quarterback. None of that. Because this joker right here, RG3, as you see, this is one of those videos where they put Ryan Clark on the front. I was expecting to see Ryan Clark, but what I got was RG3. This dude, RG3, put forth the worst take I've ever heard. Now, normally he's not that bad, actually. He's nowhere near as bad at this analyst work as he was as a quarterback, which is good for him. But this here take, when comparing the Eagles, what the Eagles is doing, and what the Cowboys is doing, and whether or not Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts on the same level, is one of the worst takes I've heard. And I'm going to destroy it.
Cowboys hosting the Seahawks. After a Week 9 loss to the Eagles, the Cowboys won 3 games in a row. The streak started with a blowout win over the Giants when Dak threw for 404 yards and 4 touchdowns. Got him. The very next week, the Cowboys traveled to Carolina, and again, Dak played well, throwing for 2 touchdowns on his way to another easy 33-10 victory. And on Thanksgiving, the Dak attack kept on rolling. He had 4 more touchdown passes to beat the Commanders. No one's playing better right now than Dak, and he was asked yesterday about being mentioned in the MVP conversation. Here's what he had to say about that.
What I say to myself is I haven't done, you know what I mean? It's regular season, numbers are great, we're getting wins, that's what's most important, but at the end of the day, we're trying to stack and keep growing this team to make sure that we're getting better each and every week.
That's good for Dak, because Dak, that's one thing about Dak I give him. He says all the right things.
I mean, what are we supposed to do if Dak's going to say he ain't do nothing? Like the whole
took your bet.
the whole thing that we do is say, hey, Dak, you're playing MVP level football. Do it in the playoffs, even though it's not the playoffs. So what are we supposed to do if Dak undercuts our whole industry? Come on,
Dak got hold of the rundown.
There's something wrong with your industry if you up here capping people for things that they shouldn't be capped about.
What happened
Dak playing chess.
Part of the show. Look, the schedule's going to get tougher, right? Obviously, I mean, like they have the Seahawks and they have the Eagles again, and then it gets tougher after that. Do you expect him to keep playing at this level, even against the tougher competition?
Oh, 100%. And I got to give a shout out to Mike McCarthy as well, right? Him and Dak are so in sync right now. They're finishing each other's sentences.
This is the beginning of the take. This is stupid. This is stupid for him to answer that. He asked him, do you expect him to play as well, even against the tougher teams? He said 100%. That's stupid. And that's setting Dak up for failure. That's all it does. Is what these guys like to do. All right, you go out there, and I'm not hating on what Dak Prescott's done at all. I believe he's doing what he's supposed to do. He went out there, and he put up big numbers against the 31st ranked defense against the pass, the 28th ranked defense against the pass, the 29th ranked defense against the pass, and he put up decent numbers as expected against the defense that is 7th in the league against the pass, right? The best team he faced lately was the Panthers. And in that game, he put up less than 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, which was efficient. But my point is that those are decent numbers. But the numbers he put up against the Commanders, the Panthers has shown you that you're not going to do that against the better defenses. Let's let him continue. We'll see.
It's him, 2 things. We talked about the red zone offense early in the year. They were really struggling. Well, 18 out of the last 26, they scored a touchdown. We talked about pre-snap motion for them to be able to get guys open and give Dak coverage tells and move CeeDee Lamb around. Well, they were using it 39% of the year before the bye. Now they're using it 60% of the time. And then this last game against Washington, that blowout game on Thanksgiving, 79% of the time they use pre-snap motion. So for me, it's Mike McCarthy saying to everyone that called his offense archaic and said,
man, come on, RG3. You know damn well the tougher defenses don't give a damn about no pre-snap motion. You can do that stuff all you want. Those tougher defenses, man, when you're talking about the Baltimores, when you're talking about the 49ers, when you're talking about, man, the Browns, when you're talking about these tougher defenses, the Chiefs, they don't care about that stuff, bro. Like, that's when it's going to come down to players getting that stuff done.
the game had passed him by and said that he was a terrible coach. He came back and he made the changes that he needed to make to get his guy rolling. And Dak Prescott is playing at not just at an MVP level, but the guy we just talked about in Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, he's above Jalen Hurts right now because of the way that he's played. After the bye, I think he's had 4 300 passing yard games. He hadn't had any before that. They have come back with a vengeance. And him saying that right there.
All right, that's the stupidest take I've heard all year. All right. And we're going to get into that there. He's saying he's above Jalen Hurts right now because of he's put together these games. First of all right, Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, they lost to the Eagles. Now, people could say he outplayed Jalen Hurts all they want. Nonsense. Jalen Hurts had a higher passer rating in the game, okay? Also, Jalen Hurts' team was up 11 points, completely, thoroughly outplayed Dak Prescott and the Cowboys in the third quarter. The fourth quarter, the Eagles changed their strategy. They played to preserve the lead. In the fourth quarter, the Dallas Cowboys are playing catch-up. So Dak Prescott is going up and down the field, 169 yards, and produced, 6 points in that whole fourth quarter, okay? If that's what you call being outplaying somebody, then you must understand football in a way that reflects the fact that you were a player that had maybe 2 or 3 good damn seasons because you have no IQ. Newsflash. I remember times I'm out there on the field, right? I ain't make the NFL, nothing like that, but the times I was out there playing on defense, my position was cornerback. Anytime the offense comes out there, they can go up and down the field all they want. If we keep them out the end zone, guess who won? The defense. The defense. If the offense is driving down the field and they coming away with threes, the defense feels like, that's cool. As long as we keep you out the end zone, that's ultimately what we care about. You want to get a bunch of yards and all of that? Go ahead. You can take them yards with you, but also take this L with you. He wants to compare Dallas Cowboys, after that Eagles game losing, he wants to compare Dak's numbers against the Giants, against the Panthers, and against the Commanders to what Jalen Hurts had to do against the Chiefs and the Bills. How stupid is that? The Giants, who's the team that Dallas Cowboys played after the Eagles, had the 28th ranked defense against the pass. All right, so of course Dak Prescott goes out there, puts up 300. I don't know, it might have been 400 yards. Don't know. Doesn't matter to me, honestly. All right. Prior to that, against the Chargers, 31st ranked defense. He really didn't put up all these crazy numbers, but, they won that game. And then the Commanders, 29th ranked defense against the league. And this is where he talks about the 4 touchdowns. Now, that's fine. That's all well and good. But to think that Dak Prescott is going to play the same way against the Seahawks, he might against the Eagles. I don't know. Eagles' pass defense isn't good. But to think he's going to play that way against Buffalo, against Miami and all of that is delusion and it's stupid. And to think that he will possibly play that way against like a Chiefs or something like that is beyond delusional. Now, the only fair way to compare Dak's performances and Jalen's performances is if you look at common opponents comparisons. You can't compare Commanders versus Chiefs. The Chiefs are 4th in the league against the pass. 4th, okay? And the Commanders are 29th. Dak Prescott, without a doubt, blew the Commanders out. But what did Jalen Hurts do against the Commanders? He played them twice. Played the Commanders twice. The last time Jalen Hurts played the Commanders, he went 29 of 38. That's 76% of his passes completed for 319 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, you tell me what's the difference between Jalen Hurts doing that to the Commanders and Dak Prescott just doing it against the Commanders. Only difference is Dak got to play the Commanders last week where Hurts had to play the Bills. Okay? To compare one's performance against the Bills where you produce 5 touchdowns in a game and think that someone is playing better because they did something to the Commanders that Hurts already did to the Commanders anyway. It's ludicrous. It's stupid. And, if I'm the producer, I'm calling them to the back like, bro, come on, man. You got to improve them takes. Prior to this, Jalen Hurts played the Commanders earlier in the season. He went 25 of 37 for 319 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's 67.6 completion percentage, and that was a win as well. The point is, both quarterbacks, if they're facing bad teams, they're going to light them up. Like if Jalen Hurts is playing against the Giants, he's going to light them up. Last time we played against the Giants last year, I don't know how many yards he put up. Played the Commanders, as you see, both of them games against the Commanders, over 300 yards. 6 touchdowns total in those 2 games against the Commanders. So the reality is that both offenses are very good. Both offenses are very good, the Eagles and Dallas Cowboys. If you play them against weak defenses, they're going to light the defenses up. Jalen Hurts will do that. Dak Prescott will do that. And the proof is within that. The Dallas Cowboys played the Panthers, who have a tougher defense. Dak Prescott passed for under 200 yards. Passed for 186 yards against the Panthers because the Panthers have a tougher defense. So it's easy to surmise, it's easy to assume that once the schedule gets harder, Dak Prescott's not going to put up those same numbers. You shouldn't expect that. What you should look for is, can the Cowboys actually win those games? It's not about Dak scoring 400 yards. He's not going to do that against the Seattle Seahawks. I promise you he's not.
That's like the T.O. meme. That's my quarterback, because you want him to feel, I haven't done anything yet.
You're right about Mike McCarthy to an extent. But Mike McCarthy we do not owe Mike McCarthy an apology. Mike McCarthy owes us an apology because he's doing the things that we said he needed to do. So I respect and I appreciate that Mike McCarthy was able to walk into the building and he say, you know what? Our offensive coach stinks. He's me. Let me stop pretending like we have some different offense than what we have. What they talk about on Get Up? Motion? Ooh, I like that. Let me put some of that in the offense. Oh, we can't run the ball? At the beginning of the year, he's like, we're going to run the ball. We're going to take the pressure off Dak so we have fewer turnovers. That ain't what we doing.
Listen, I like Dominique Foxworthy, but I don't know. It's like I got this thing with Dominique Foxworthy where I'm not certain why he supports certain quarterbacks. I don't have a problem with him supporting Dak Prescott at all, especially if it's warranted. But I think he got a little bit in him where he's not quick to criticize black quarterbacks. You know, that's kind of the hunch that I have, because even when Dak isn't playing up to par, you rarely hear him really criticize him strongly. You never really hear him criticize Hurts or Lamar either. So I don't know. I'm a little suspicious.
And I respect that. I appreciate his ability to evolve and take the next step and not be hard and fast in his ways and say, I know best. But I ain't saying sorry for telling him to do the right thing, and he finally doing the right thing now.
Yeah, trust Dak, right? Like that's what we talked about the whole time, is if you see what their offense was with Kellen Moore, right, it was all in Dak.
In my opinion, the most impressive game Dak Prescott played this year was against the Jets defense. All right. Now, albeit the Jets, I believe, fell into a trap game against the Cowboys. I really do believe that, because they were coming off an emotional win against Buffalo the week prior. Okay? Trust me, if they got Buffalo coming up and then they got Dallas coming up, Jets are going to put more into that Buffalo game. And then, beating them was something they didn't expect to do, especially with Aaron Rodgers going down. And then to go have to face the Cowboys was a really tough spot for them. But I give Dak Prescott still respect for that, because that, to me, was the best defense that he performed against.
Hands. And so you came in, you had this mindset change, or hey, we're going to shift our philosophy to be this. You realize it's not going to work. We're not going to end up beating the good teams this way. Here's what we're going to have to do. Put the ball back in Dak's hand. CD has become the receiver that everybody had hoped he would. Brandon Cooks is making plays. Ferguson's coming off the he's hitting the middle of the field. So when you look at it, everything is kind of coming together, and the defense is producing. Not only are they shutting.
Yeah, but why are they not talking about the Panthers game? That's the only thing. The Panthers game lets you know that, every game is not going to be 300, 400 yards. As the defenses get tighter and the secondaries are better, it's not going to be the same. Now, kudos to the Cowboys for winning. I mean, even though the Panthers stink overall, kudos for the Cowboys to find a way to win, but you're not going to just go out there and blow out, better teams. If you expect that, it's something wrong with you. It just doesn't happen. You don't blow out the Chiefs. You don't blow out the Bills. Right, to compare, to say Dallas had a more impressive win because they beat the Commanders over the Eagles beating like the Bills is like, you shouldn't be on TV talking if that's the way you think, because there's something wrong with your brain.
They're scoring points, which, by the way, when we're seeing all these numbers, let's not forget they score about every week. So Dan Quinn has held up his end of the bargain. Their defense is playing good. That's why I would say this team scares people because it's not just offensively. Their defense can flip fields, change, and score. Like when you talk about those type of plays, that's what shifts that's what shifts teams in the playoffs.
So, Robert,
This is what I'll say about this, right? I will admit the Dallas Cowboys have a better defense than the Philadelphia Eagles. The numbers say it. The eye test says it as well. Now, the reason they're better is not because of the complete total defense. It's not the defensive line. I believe the Eagles have the better defensive line. This is reflective in the fact that the Eagles are number one against the run, right? They're only allowing 76 yards a game on the ground, right? That's to be expected. When it comes to the pass rush of the defensive line, it's pretty much equal. I don't think either one is like that much over the other. Eagles have two solid pass rushers on the end. They have good backup pass rushers. They even can get pressure from the middle, with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and those guys. Cowboys, the linebacker situation is tricky. Cowboys losing Van Der Esch, and I believe they're a little banged up with another guy. It's closer than you think. I'll give a slight edge to Dallas. However, what's going to hang in the balance is whoever ends up with Shaq Leonard. If the Cowboys can get Shaq Leonard, that would be a big blow for the Eagles. And if the Eagles can get Shaq Leonard, that would be a big boost for their defense. The difference is in the secondary. Right now, the Dallas Cowboys secondary is playing at a much higher level than the Eagles secondary. This is reflective in, the pass defense. I think Dallas is one of the better pass defensive teams in the league. Eagles absolutely near the worst, though I'm hopeful that it will get better, with the addition of Kevin Byard. Hopefully Bradbury's gotten a wake-up call. Now, the thing, I'm not super concerned with it because I know the Eagles have talent back there, especially in the backups. You got a lot of those boys from Alabama. You got Job, you got Ricks, you got Ringo from Georgia, who the Eagles aren't really using, which is kind of surprising. You got Sidney Brown. There's a lot of young. The Eagles secondary honestly has the makings of what the Chiefs secondary is now. A lot of young guys who just haven't seen a lot, who can get tricked, who are out of position a lot. It's more of that than it is just lack of talent. So I think it has a chance to get better as you move into the playoffs. That's why I'm not overly concerned. But right now, if we were to say, Dallas right now with Stephon Gilmore, who's an all-time great, and then you got this young kid, Deron Bland, who's a playmaker, of the highest order right now. He's the hottest corner in the league right now. You have to give Dallas the edge there. But with that being said, I don't believe Dallas scares top teams like the Eagles, like the 49ers, like the Chiefs, not the Bills, like the Baltimore. I don't think they would be afraid of Dallas because they know ultimately they're going to be able to move the ball on Dallas's defense, right? Dallas's defense isn't like a defense you're not going to be able to move the ball on. Like the Eagles literally did score 28 on them, okay? You can score on them if you have a great offense. Because they know ultimately when teams are evenly matched, okay, all of that stuff you're doing to those other teams doesn't mean anything. What it's going to boil down to is my guy versus your guy, right? It's going to boil down to the quarterbacks. It's going to boil down to not turning the ball over. It's going to boil down to coaching. And the Eagles, by and large, I think feel confident. Like, in other words, Sirianni, Brian Johnson, these guys versus McCarthy. Now, Dan Quinn scares me a little bit, but you can move the ball on him. Jalen Hurts versus Dan Quinn. Jalen Hurts will figure it out. And then the coaches versus the coaches. The Eagles feel confident in those areas.
He's ahead of Jalen Hurts.
Right.
But the one spot where he's not is in the standings, where the Eagles still.
He's not ahead of Jalen Hurts at all. That's silly. It's silly. It's cock and me. It's nonsense. He's not at all right?
Have a 2-game lead.
Correct.
Eagles have San Francisco this week. Cowboys have Seattle this week. And then it's Dallas and Philadelphia again next week. So if things shake out their way, they could theoretically catch Philadelphia with a win that week. Do they need to catch the Eagles if they're going to make a playoff run? Do they need to get that division title and those home games?
I think that's their main focus, and it should be. We've all been in the locker room before. We understand that each game is important because it's the next game.
Right.
But when you look at the Dallas Cowboys and how dominant they've been at home, I mean, this year I think they're 5-0.
They are 5-0, yes.
5-0 at home. So they have done things in a way with that crowd, in the star, feeling good about themselves. And when your quarterback is saying they haven't done anything, let me tell you what he has done right now in the league. He's first against man coverage. He's first against the blitz. He's first on third downs. He's first outside the pocket, and he's first against four-man rush.
Yeah.
So that.
Let me tell you what he's first in. He's first in beating the 31st ranked defense, first in beating the 20th ranked defense, first in beating 29th ranked defense. Like, let's stop it, man. You're not going to do those things against the Chiefs. You're not going to do that against the Bills. You're not going to do that against the 49ers. This is pathetic to me.
Is playing at such an MVP level, and don't let any coach tell you that they don't watch these shows, okay? We did an entire 7-minute segment on Monday Night Countdown weeks ago when we had the Cowboys talking about motion, and they have utilized that to the highest levels. So
it's possible that the Cowboys watch those shows because I think McCarthy's kind of a Nimrod. I think Micah Parsons watched these shows because he talks about these shows. That's Cowboy culture. They're into that. They're into the being in front of the cameras and all of that. I don't believe Jalen Hurts watches the shows. I don't. I think he might hear secondhand information about things people might have said that he might use it as bulletin board material, that sort of thing. I don't believe, Nick Sirianni, I'm not sure. But the Eagles don't make it a part of their daily routine. They damn sure ain't taking no pointers from nobody on these shows. That's for sure. Why the hell they take pointers from somebody on these shows, from people on these shows? And I'm telling you, dudes are not understanding. A big part of what Dallas opening up the offense is you open up the offense against these bad defenses. Against the 49ers, you're going to be conservative because they will start picking that stuff off, man. Like, these guys, man.
Your division is important because that's the goal that every team starts with. But I will say this. If you look at the Cowboys would want the Eagles to win and win out because you've seen at home, although the Eagles have found ways to win, they're susceptible defensively. The Bills scored a bunch of points. The Cowboys scored a bunch of points. You'll see what San Fran does this weekend if they can score. But it lends you to think, hey, if we get into a shootout, at least in Philly, we still got a shot, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so it's not like you go, oh, we're all of a sudden closed up if the Eagles win this division.
Yeah, obviously much more on this.
The Cowboys, if they're truly contenders, they should feel that way about any team they face, not just the Eagles. And no, I don't believe they will want to face the Eagles as opposed to other teams. That's asinine. And if so, hey, sure. You want to come into Philadelphia, face the Eagles because you think you got a shot in a playoff situation? Hey, be my guest if that's how you're thinking.
As we go along today and in the coming weeks, and we obviously thank Mike McCarthy for watching.
Talk about how undefeated Dallas is at home. How about the Eagles at home? Eagles have always lost one game, period. Forget about just at home. Eagles don't care where they at. Come on, man. These people are crazy.
But the penultimate, welcome, Mike. Penultimate, next.
All right, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I just wanted to put that out there. So you Dallas Cowboys, I don't want to hear none of y'all talking that stuff about the media is against you, don't support Dak Prescott, man. These guys, they wait for you to do any little thing, and then they're going to give you all the credit in the world if you conquered the world. You know, really, you just, as Dak Prescott said, you ain't do squat.